Amazon just committed $13 billion to building artificial intelligence infrastructure in India. And here's what should alarm the competition. It's the biggest single regional AI investment from any American tech company right now. For context, that's nearly double what some countries spend annually on technology infrastructure. India's the target because it has two things Amazon needs desperately. First, talent, over 200,000 AI engineers already working across the country, with more graduating every year. Second, market access, 1.4 billion people who are increasingly moving online, creating an enormous addressable market for cloud services and AI tools. The genius of Amazon's move is timing. While everyone's obsessing over the AI competition between the United States and China, Amazon's quietly making a strategic bet that could reshape global AI development for the next decade. This isn't generosity, it's territorial control. Whoever owns the data centers, the cloud infrastructure, and the AI services in India effectively controls a gateway to nearly 1 billion users and becomes the default technology platform for an entire region. That's immensely valuable. Indian startup ecosystems, enterprises, universities, they'll all flow toward Amazon's infrastructure and ecosystem because it's going to be the most accessible, the cheapest, and backed by the most capital. And here's where the real story starts. This investment is going to accelerate India's transformation from a tech services provider into a genuine artificial intelligence innovation hub. So why India? Why now? The answer's a combination of market opportunity and strategic necessity. India's already the back office for global tech. Millions of Indian engineers work remotely for American tech companies. Its services firms run critical infrastructure globally, and Indian research labs are producing breakthrough AI research that rivals academic centers in the United States. But here's the opportunity Amazon spotted. That talent has been underutilized. These engineers were building applications and infrastructure for other people's visions. Now, with $13 billion in local investment, Amazon's essentially building a whole ecosystem where Indian AI talent develops Indian-centric products and services. The market dynamics are compelling, too. Cloud computing adoption in India is accelerating rapidly. 5 years ago, most Indian businesses used zero cloud services. Today, that number's shifted dramatically as startups, enterprises, and even government agencies recognize the cost benefits and scalability advantages. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. India's not competing with the United States or China on equal footing yet. India's competing for regional dominance. This investment makes Amazon the undisputed leader in South Asian cloud infrastructure. That means every developer, every startup, every university researcher building AI applications in India will naturally gravitate toward Amazon's platforms, tools, and services. It's not about forcing adoption, it's about making Amazon the obvious choice. So what does $13 billion actually buy? The answer's concrete infrastructure. AWS, Amazon's cloud division, is building multiple data centers across India with full artificial intelligence capabilities. These aren't generic servers. They are specialized facilities designed to train large language models, run inference at scale, and support the kind of computationally intensive work that makes modern AI possible. A single data center facility might include tens of thousands of processors, petabytes of storage, advanced cooling systems to handle the heat dissipation, and redundant power infrastructure to ensure uptime. AWS is also investing heavily in fiber optic networks that connect these data centers to each other and to the internet backbone serving India's major cities. But the infrastructure spend is only half the story. The other half is software and services. AWS is launching India-specific artificial intelligence services, developer tools, and pre-trained models optimized for Indian languages and Indian business problems. Translation models for Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and other regional languages. Recommendation systems trained on Indian consumer behavior patterns. Financial technology platforms designed around India's unique regulatory environment and payment systems. And critically, Amazon's funding an enormous training program for Indian developers. Free AWS certification courses, apprenticeships, engineering boot camps, all designed to create a generation of Indian engineers fluent in cutting-edge cloud and artificial intelligence technologies. This is where it gets complicated. This investment isn't altruistic. It's Amazon spending capital to lock in talent, lock in developer mindshare, and lock in market share for the next 15 years. What does this look like in practice? Imagine a startup in Delhi building a customer service chatbot. 5 years ago, they'd have had to build their own servers, hire infrastructure engineers, or use expensive international cloud services with latency that made the experience sluggish. Now, they'll use Amazon's India-based AWS infrastructure. They'll use pre-built AI models for Indian languages. They'll pay in Indian rupees through locally optimized billing. The latency will be minimal because the servers are physically located in country. The cost will be dramatically lower than international alternatives. That's transformative for Indian businesses. Or consider a financial technology company building loan approval systems that need to evaluate creditworthiness for customers who have limited traditional credit history. Amazon's providing AI tools designed for exactly this use case, models trained to understand Indian payment behavior, lending patterns, and regulatory requirements. An enterprise could previously spend months and millions of dollars building this capability. With Amazon's platform, they build it in weeks for tens of thousands. Scale up to universities, government agencies, hospitals, manufacturing firms. Every sector benefits when the infrastructure becomes local, affordable, and purpose-built. And that's just the beginning. This investment is going to generate jobs. Data center construction jobs, software developer roles, customer support positions, training coordinator posts. Amazon's aiming to create nearly 10,000 direct jobs across India through this investment, plus hundreds of thousands of indirect jobs as businesses use the platform to scale. So how does Amazon's play compare to its rivals? Google and Microsoft have also been investing in cloud infrastructure across Asia, but their approaches are different. Google's been more aggressive in Southeast Asia and Japan, while Microsoft has focused on partnership models with local telecom companies. Neither has committed capital at India's scale, quite like Amazon. Amazon's bet is larger and more focused. $13 billion concentrated on a single country gives Amazon the ability to build infrastructure faster, train talent more comprehensively, and undercut pricing more aggressively than competitors who are spreading investments across multiple regions. It also matters that Amazon already has relationships with Indian enterprises. AWS is the second largest cloud provider in India after Microsoft. But this investment is designed to flip that equation and cement Amazon as the undisputed number one. There's also the timeline factor. Amazon's announcing this in mid-2026, when AI adoption in India is still in early stages. Getting there first, building the local talent pipeline first, establishing infrastructure first, that matters enormously because the first mover creates network effects. Developers build expertise on Amazon's platform. Businesses migrate to Amazon's ecosystem. Enterprise customers standardize on Amazon's tooling. The switching cost becomes prohibitive. By the time Google and Microsoft realize what's happened, Amazon will have already locked in the entire Indian market. This is where the real depth of the strategy emerges. Amazon isn't just competing for cloud infrastructure market share. Amazon's competing for the entire next generation of Indian entrepreneurs and engineers. India's moving from the sidelines into the center of global AI competition. The narrative was always that AI innovation happens in the United States or China. Europe builds regulation, everyone else adopts. But India's got the talent, market scale, and now capital infrastructure to become a genuine innovation hub. That fundamentally changes which problems get solved first. Indian AI development will prioritize challenges that matter to Indian users: climate and agriculture, AI for farming, medical diagnostics for disease patterns, education systems for regional languages, applications that serve over 1 billion people. Second, this reshapes competitive dynamics. If Amazon captures India's cloud market, it controls not just revenue but data. Training data from 1 billion users helps build better AI models. The company controlling India's infrastructure controls the data training the next generation of AI. Google, Microsoft, and others will respond with massive investments. The AI race just expanded beyond the United States and China into the entire developing world. Third, consider the talent dynamics. Whenever Amazon builds infrastructure, it creates jobs and a knowledge base that stays in country. Indian researchers gain access to cutting-edge tools and capital that previously only existed in Silicon Valley or Beijing. That talent stays and builds the next wave of Indian innovation. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. This investment breaks the monopoly that the United States has had on AI talent and AI infrastructure for the last decade. That's unprecedented. So as an Indian entrepreneur, what's your move? The practical answer is straightforward. If you're building any AI application, a chatbot, recommendation engine, analytics platform, you now have world-class infrastructure in country at competitive pricing. You create an AWS account, log into the India region, browse the AI services catalog, select a model, and deploy it. Costs are dramatically lower than building equivalent systems yourself or using expensive international providers. For enterprises, the opportunity is even bigger. A bank building a loan approval system can now leverage AI designed around Indian credit patterns. A healthcare company can use diagnostic models trained on Indian patient data. A manufacturing firm can optimize supply chains using AI built for Indian logistics. The risk that prevented companies from adopting AI before: expensive infrastructure, complex talent training, latency from international providers, those barriers vanished. Here's what the headlines aren't telling you. This democratization is going to trigger an explosion of Indian AI startups. Lowered barriers, local capital, multinational interest. These combine to create something like India's tech outsourcing boom 2 decades ago. Except this time, India's building the innovation, not just executing someone else's vision. That's the real leverage point. So what's the bottom line? Amazon's $13 billion investment in India signals something massive about where the AI industry is headed. For decades, technology innovation concentrated in a handful of Western cities: Silicon Valley, Seattle, Boston. Capital flowed there, talent gravitated there, breakthroughs happened there. But that's changing. The next generation of artificial intelligence innovation is going to be geographically distributed. It'll happen in India, in Southeast Asia, potentially in Africa and South America, wherever there's a combination of talent, capital, and market opportunity. Amazon's move isn't charitable, it's strategic, but the effect is real. 10,000 Indian engineers will develop AI applications they couldn't before. Millions of Indian businesses will adopt AI technology they couldn't afford before. Indian researchers will solve problems that Western AI hasn't prioritized. The global AI landscape just shifted. If you're building anything tech-related, you need to understand that India just became a center of gravity for AI development and deployment. This affects your competition, your talent acquisition, your market opportunities. Stay tuned to this channel for the latest on how AI is reshaping technology globally. Follow for daily AI news.